Good morning and welcome to the new episode of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. You would not see the spectacle which people often see on the roads, on the road shows, on the sidelines, on the events in India and in Pakistan. But you won't find such scenes here in North America or in Europe. I'm talking about the spectacle of the bloated, self-conscious, bursting with a sense of entitlement politicians and their family members going around with gun-toting security officers provided by the government, nay, provided by you and me, taxpayers. And the number can range anywhere between 3 to a couple of dozens, depending on how much entitlement is there. And look at the cost. I am coming to that. You'll be astonished at the cost of providing a status symbol in the name of security. And the VIP security in India at least has lost its mooring because the professional threat assessment is hardly ever there. An actor makes a statement and top level security is provided because there is threat to that actor's life. A politician belongs to a family that has been entitled for the last 70 years, and all the members of the family and even distant relations at times get, as I said earlier, from half a dozen to 2 scores of gun-toting or even submachine guns toting Central Security Forces officers, not only the police. And if the central government doesn't get the protection, then the state governments get. In Punjab, for example, even the political leaders have been given fine, and even the religious cult leaders are provided the security. And curiously, when a person is accused of a crime, he is on the one side being escorted by the police, but he is surrounded by the gun-toting security officers as well. I saw this picture of Rahul Gandhi being taken to the office for questioning, and he was accompanied by, apart from the politicians, his gun-toting people. Why? The concept of security has been misused to prove your entitlement. And what happened recently in Punjab, that all of a sudden security was withdrawn, good. But then they advertised it, gave the name of the 424 people, and one person lost their life. When either security is not given, or if it's withdrawn, it should be kept confidential. Why advertise? The whole thing shows misunderstood and mistaken form of advertisement. And the action of the CM of Punjab, the Chief of Punjab, was hailed as a break with the VIP culture. And it was good. But it was ultimately what happened. The security of all the people has been restored. Can you believe it? Even the head Granthi of Akal Takht, even the president of SGPC, they are provided security. And even MLAs and ministers, why should they provide security? They are elected by the people, they represent the people. So either they are doing criminal activity which annoys the people, and of course there can be possibility of a danger to his life, because sometimes the decision may be taken which may not be felt. But We have seen the security being given where there is no instruction. Now, while the practice of providing gunmen to escort important personalities has existed for a long time, and the specific threats to the individuals grew from multiple forms of ethno-nationalist insurgencies, left-wing extremism, and cross-border terrorism. In these three things, yes, security should be given. There was extensive kidnapping and targeted killing of the political leaders, elected representatives. So, this was provided. And this process of providing security was not there till 1980s. I remember Jawaharlal Nehru and Indira Gandhi used to go to the public as prime ministers, and there was hardly any security to them. You could touch them, and I myself have touched the prime minister, both the prime ministers, shaken hands with them, blessed them. You might say that they knew me, fine, but then he came to the college, and the students just surrounded him. So the murder of the singer and the Punjab Congress politician, a day after the security was withdrawn, created a humbug, and the security was restored. First, why was it advertised? Secondly, why was it restored? Does it mean that once again, in a space of 4 hours, security assessment was evaluated? The most important question that need to be asked, despite all this media frenzy over this singer's death, are about the system that decides who gets what level of security, and what strain this puts on policing, which suffers from personal inadequacy to begin with. Already, the police force in India is much too less than what is required to be there. And since a huge number, almost 30% of the police, is deputed to be the security duty, it's shocking. And if the security is provided, why should a person who is getting the security not be charged? I've seen the actors being provided, the industries being provided, but still the murders take place. So, we have seen what happens at the state level especially. It's not as much as the central level, but at the state level, security covers are often political favors on those who are close to the power. It's a status symbol in Indian and Pakistani hierarchy-obsessed politics. Your importance is known by how many security personnel you have at your beck and call. And I recently saw a picture of a Punjab minister sitting on the roof of his SUV, and security officers leaning out of the windows of the SUV. It was in violation of all laws, and there was a danger to the life of security officers. But who cares? And the assessment which should be there, assessment of threat, is not done while granting a security cover. Can you believe that one day somebody gets a security all of a sudden, and he might have been one day previously roaming about the streets unprotected? And this assessment is done neither while granting a security cover nor when it's withdrawn or reduced. The decisions are in 99% cases political. The result is a VIP security culture. There is no parallel anywhere in the world, as I said. India, Pakistan, stop. Nowhere you would find this sort of stupidity. Now, I talked to the Bureau of Police Research and Development, and they told me that about 70,000 police personnel were providing security to 19,000 ministers, MPs, MLAs, judges, bureaucrats and others in 2019. 66,000 policemen and 19,000 politicians and bureaucrats. It's mind-boggling. And the bulk of this protection force is drawn from the state police. Then even more revealing, you'll be shocked, but don't be, that's the reality. There are three top states in the list: Bengal, Punjab and Bihar. And they are suffering from entrenched insurgencies or violent movements. Look at this data now. Bengal has 3,000 VIPs under protection. Punjab has more than 2,500 people under protection. But the most dangerous state, Chhattisgarh, has just 315 people under security cover. This only shows the honesty and the fair assessment. A state where there is most insurgency has more likelihood of the people being killed. But no, they have just given security to 315 people. But Bengal, 3,000, and Punjab to more than 2,500. Now, look at the personnel otherwise. 66,000 we know we have named. According to the United Nations standards, for every 100,000 people, there should be 222 policemen. In India, for every 100,000 people, we have 155.78 police personnel. So we are short of 67 police personnel per 100,000 people. And out of that, 66,000 people have been withdrawn from their normal duties so that the politicians, their women and children even, can be given protection. And sometimes they don't provide only protection, they are practically servants. Then what happens? These overworked cops who are not on security duty are a daily danger that goes unnoticed. And there is a serious skew in distribution. Many parts of the non-urban India are seriously under-policed. Nobody cares what happens in a village. There might be one or two policemen, and they also might be part-time, in the sense they cover two villages. I don't deny that protection is essential for a number of public figures. And secondly, no political party will want to review a system that has gone haywire. So let the sleeping dogs lie. Don't disturb it. Let the status quo remain. After all, who is paying? The taxpayer. So nobody wants to disturb it, but it's required to be disturbed. This system suits all political parties. And that's why there is no change for the last 50 years. As I told you, this epidemic started in 80s only, after Janata government came into power. You see, there was emergency, and after emergency, the Janata new government came, which we call Khichdi government. About 14 political parties joined to government, and the project of providing joint government failed miserably. In 3 years, we had about 8 governments, and all of them were out. So, this epidemic, when it started, was seen to be a temporary measure. But then, the sense of entitlement is never temporary. The status-ridden society as India is, and what I say for India also goes for Pakistan, they cannot believe at all, the politicians, the entitlement, that these can be withdrawn. You remember when the security of the Gandhis was reduced, there was such a hue and cry. And after 80s, I'm yet to see a minister declining, refusing to have security. They think that they are now the reincarnation of the Führers, which they are possibly. It's a negation of democracy. It's a negation of right of equality. It's a negation of the right to life, even. Right to life everybody has. But it appears that these people who have an entitlement have a more right to life than the common hoi polloi people like you and me. And the sooner this sense of entitlement is abolished, the better it would be. Let it be given only, once the police commission had recommended, to the Prime Minister, to the Chief Ministers, and then it should not be given to the bureaucrats, it should not be given to the judges, no. Can you believe there's just one policeman protecting 10 Downing Street? Just one. And he's also unarmed. Can you show me how many prime ministers in England have been killed? The result would be zero. It's a culture. And in India, despite the security, already 2 prime ministers were killed. Many number of chief ministers have been killed. So they don't provide the real security. It only provides a semblance of security. Let sense prevail and let proper security assessment be done before granting this symbol of status, which is, as a matter of fact, most humiliating for the common people and a burden on the common people. And the sooner they do away with it, the better it would be. Thank you.